Hello everyone, my name's the Jolly Toxicroak, and today I'm going to be going over my top 10 most underrated Pokemon. So these are Pokemon that I believe to be very strong that people just don't seem to respect their strength for some reason. So, without further ado, I have a few disclaimers I need to go over. So first of which is that this list is entirely my opinion. So if there's a Pokemon that you feel like I should have mentioned, please feel free to leave it in the comment below. Now, the second disclaimer that I have is that I wanted to create it across multiple formats. So, Battle Spot, Smogans, and VGC. So, that way nobody feels alienated from what Pokemon's more underrated than others. So, please don't come into my comment section saying, but Toxicroak! That Pokemon's an Are-You Pokemon! Because this isn't an underused list according to Smogan, it's an underrated Pokemon list of Pokemon that I believe are really good in across multiple formats. And my last disclaimer is that I only had room for 10. As fun as it would be to ramble on for 50 minutes, I don't think anybody's going to watch it, nor would YouTube allow me to post it. So without further ado, here is my top 10 list. So number 10 is Heliolisk, and I like to call him the anti-Meta Lizard, because he has so much utility just in so many weather conditions that he's really strong, and he's able to come out and outspeed a lot of things and be able to threaten them with his base 109 special attack, and it's really potent. You can throw on things like Life Orb, Choice Scarf, Choice Specs. It doesn't really matter how you run it, as long as you're making sure to max speed and max special attack, and you'll be able to get the most out of him. However, the things that really held him back is the fact that his typing isn't that great, because he's going to be susceptible to Mach Punches, and since he has a normal typing, he's going to be weak to it, and that's a bit of a problem. And then you combine that with the fact that he's weak to Earthquake, which is a common move, so his typing's not too great, and the fact that he's base 109 speed is just a little bit too slow. If he was 110, he would be able to outpace the metagame and be where he's supposed to be. So number 9 is Drapion, and I feel like he has really good stat distribution, where people say that his stats are pretty underwhelming, which is true. Collectively, his base stat total is a little under where it should be, but I feel like his distribution is very potent because it has all the stats in all the good places. He has really good bulk, he has really good attack, he has good speed, he has all the stats that he needs in order to succeed. But the important part about him is that he's a Swiss Army knife type of Pokemon, where you can build him as a utility, you can build him offensive, defensive. It really doesn't matter how you run him because he's going to be able to fit to your team. Now, the problem that hold him back is the fact that he's weak to Earthquake, which is a common typing move, but one weakness really isn't that big of a deal. And most importantly, he's not good at one job. Most poison types that are selected to do a particular job are going to outpace him. But he's good for fitting in a team when you need a poison type. Number 8, I have Nidoking. What Nidoking does that other poison types and ground types can't is that he has an insane move pool and insane type coverage. And he's going to be able to super effective almost everything in the metagame. And because of that, combined with his ability Sheer Force with Life Orb, he's going to deal so much damage, it's not even funny. He's just going to come in, he's going to hit somebody really hard, and personally you can run Life Orb to increase his damage, or you can run Choice Scarf to make him a little bit faster and to outpace things he normally wouldn't. And there's just so many things that you can do with him. And did you know that he gets Toxic Spikes? That's pretty good. I mean, Nidoking isn't the best in terms of poison types, but he's definitely very powerful. His coverage is insane, and his stats are in the right places of bulk, a little bit of speed, and then his ability makes up for his low offenses. So number 7, I have Snorlax, and Snorlax has great base stats, just fantastic, and his move pool is excellent. If you manage to get your hands on a self-destructing Snorlax, that thing becomes a freaking menace, where it's just going to come in, it's going to self-destruct, deal damage to everything on the board. In double battles, it's crazy with the Swagger combo. It's just nuts. But the things that hold it back is the fact of its typing is only normal, so it means it isn't going to get a lot of resistances. It will have immunity to Toxic, which helps it stay out, or it can have thick fat, which helps it stay out against fire and ice types, which gives it 2 additional resistances, which is still pretty bad for a defensive Pokemon. And then the next problem is that he has a lack of a recovery move. It's hard to be a tank nowadays without any way of sustain, and I feel like that holds Snorlax back a bit. At number 6, I have Crawdaunt. Crawdaunt has just an insane ability, and the fact that he gains stab on both Aqua Jet and Knockoff, a priority and a utility move, it's just nuts. Like, a lot of people try to go for setup sets where they use things like Dragon's Dance or Sword Stance, and then they instantly are able to sweep out, which is fine. Okay, that's really good. However, if you throw Choice Band on him, he becomes a potent revenge killer or tank buster, and he can just come in and tank somebody's health all the way out. And I think he's really good because of the fact that he can beat out Talonflame in most cases. So, I mean, there's not really much you can go wrong with Crawdaunt as long as you have knockoff Aqua Jet. If you want to go Swords Dance, Dragon's Dance, or go straight into Superpower or some other coverage move, you're going to be solid. At number 5, I have Braviary. I think he's very strong. He has great base stats. He does run a little bit on the slow side, which is alright. But, you know, in comparison to other Defiant users like Purugly, Primeape, and even Bisharp, I feel like Braviary really stands out because he has so much utility through things like Tailwind, Defog. He's able to come in and instantly create pressure, where if you switch an Intimidate user or something that tries to put pressure on you, Braviary is going to alleviate it by just a little bit. And I feel like that he has really strong attack, and even though he doesn't have the priority like Bisharp does through Sucker Punch, he's still going to be able to outpace a lot of things with that Tailwind boost. However, his typing's not that good defensively or offensively, so it is going to hold him back a bit. But as long as your team is built around having him on the team, you're going to be solid. So at number 4, I have Arcanine, and Arcanine's just such a solid Pokemon. He's got great base stats where he's going to have that good special attack, some decent speed, really good bulk, and then his abilities are very, very useful where you can use that Intimidate, you can use the Justified for like cheese runs with Beat Up or something. You can use Flash Fire if you're running something like a Scizor. He becomes a really solid Pokemon. And the only Pokemon that really creates competition for him would be Entei, but Entei doesn't have the special attack nor the abilities to be able to keep up with what Arcanine can provide. So the problems that hold him back is that he's monotyped, which means that monotype's going to probably keep most people away because he's not going to have that additional weaknesses, those additional immunities, those additional resistances. He's not going to have the good stuff that he needs, and he's not going to have dual stab. And his move pool, unfortunately, is a little bit on the predictable side, even though it has everything it needs to do. At number 3, I have Infernape, and I feel like he's just such a solid Pokemon because the fact that he has that fire fighting type, which a lot of people claim that Blaziken, Emboar, and Talonflame are going to be stiff competition for him for that fire spot, but the reality is that he has really good coverage. He has the ability Iron Fist, which powers up all the elemental punches that he can have access to, like Thunder Punch. And his coverage is just insane. Not even mentioning the fact of he gets access to a lot of support moves like Fake Out, Stealth Rock, etc. You can also run just about any item on him, and he's an unpredictable Pokemon. However, he runs a little bit on the frail side, and because Talonflame exists, he's going to be beaten out by that priority Brave Bird most of the time. So you kind of have to build your team around him, but thanks to that U-turn, he's able to work around a lot of team compositions, which I feel like makes him stand out a lot from other fire types. At number 2, I have Noivern. Noivern has really, really good speed that it can take advantage of. Its stats are right where it needs to be, where it's kind of bulky, it has a little bit of special attack to be able to take advantage of, and that speed, of course, is just insane. His move pool is just so versatile, where you can run Life Orb with Moonlight. You can run Drake. Of course, you'd run Draco Meteor. That's not optional. You can run Dragon Pulse, I guess, if you're going for more of a Moonlight restorative set. But Draco Meteor is what makes Noivern so good. Because that outspeed with Draco Meteor, you're going to come in, you're going to deal lots of damage to something with at least a neutral hit. and that's what makes Noivern really strong. And on top of that, Noivern also gets a ton of utility with things like Super Fang, Taunt, Tailwind. There's just so much that Noivern can do and provide for your team, and people don't really appreciate that. However, it does face stiff competition from the other dragon types, which is a problem, but its utility makes it stand out. So my number one most underrated Pokemon is Swampert. Swampert is such a solid Pokemon with only one weakness. His typing is just so good offensively and defensively. He's just going to be able to provide so much for your team. His base stats are wonderful for being able to take hits, whether special or physical attacks. And his HP is right where it needs to be. His attacks where it needs to be. People like to run mixed Swamperts and physical Swamperts, and I personally think physical Swampert's better, but that's just my opinion. The advantage to Swampert is the fact that he has such good move pool for coverage and being able to take hits and re-deal them back. He's the definition of a bruiser. He's going to come in and slap somebody across the face with his stats, which makes him a really good Pokemon. However, like most physical, bulky Pokemon, he is weak to status conditions, which is going to hold him back a bit without proper support, and he doesn't have access to a reliable recovery move, which kind of holds him back. However, when you build the team properly around him, or hurry and slap him on a team that needs that additional coverage, needs a water type, then he's going to be able to put out the work that other Pokemon can't. And that is why I feel like he is the most underrated Pokemon, because of the fact that you can easily use him on most teams. So that was my top 10 list of the Pokemon I feel like are the most underrated. Again, if you feel like that there was a Pokemon I might have missed, feel free to leave it in the comments below. Please feel free to comment or subscribe, and thanks so much for watching.